This time on Allies or Enemies, we are looking at Tapestry, designed by Jamey Stegmaier with art by Andrew Bosley. This highly abstracted, heavily asymmetrical civilization builder sees 1 to 5 players using resources to travel up various tracks in order to gain buildings, take over lands, and develop technologies. And like all real-world civilizations, turn all of that into victory points. It is a big game with surprisingly few mechanics, but a lot of meaningful choices and oodles of opportunity for clever combos. It also has 2 expansions, Plans and Ploys, and Arts and Architecture, and we'll get to both of those later. But for now, let's look at the nuts and bolts of how it plays.
Tapestry is the epitome of a few rules going a long way. The rulebook's only 4 pages long, but there's a lot happening on those pages. Each turn, players will do one of 2 things. The most common is moving 1 space up one of the tracks that represents science, military, technology, and exploration. To do this, you pay the listed resource, move your space, and then gain the benefit. The benefits all connect to different parts of the game, like exploring the central board, conquering, building, rolling the science dice, researching technology, scoring points, and gaining tapestry cards. These last are used when your civilization moves to its next era, which brings us to the other option for your turn. Instead of advancing up a track, you can take an income turn, scoring points and gaining resources for income buildings, playing tapestry cards for bonuses, developing technologies, and each player will also have a unique civilization card with its own bonus, most of which take place during this phase. The game ends after all players have completed the 4th era, and then the winner is crowned.
The civilizations are at the heart of the variability, and they will greatly change your strategy every time. Many provide resource bonuses. Some are military. Some give you bonuses for building or technology. Some totally change core aspects of the gameplay. Most will push you fairly strongly in one direction. One important note is they are not perfectly balanced against one another. But over the long term, we have had more close games than we've had blowouts, and we are willing to give up a bit of balance for creative gameplay. On top of the civilizations, each player's capital city region also changes each game, and the tapestry cards you draw will wildly impact your plans. It can all be a smidge swingy, but it will always present new puzzles. Adding a bit more to the variability are the 2 expansions. The first, Plans and Ploys, adds a bunch of new civilizations, tapestry cards, and new buildings that are drafted at the start and gained when tasks are completed. The second and larger expansion, Arts and Architecture, adds more of all that stuff, as well as creative new starting lands that all have special rules, and most importantly, a 5th track for arts, which goes a long way to changing up the game, with cool features like new income cards and income track upgrades. Both expansions are worthwhile, but if you were to go just for one, Arts and Architecture is the clear winner.
The box says 1 to 5, but we've played this almost exclusively at 2 players. The game's got 2 key points of interaction. One is the central territory board, which involves some very light combat and scales fine by having separate 1 to 3 and 4 to 5 player sides of the board. The second are the landmark buildings, which are gained by being the first up the various tracks, which doesn't scale quite as well, but is addressed with the addition of an ultra-simplified bot, though we found that the bot just added some extra admin and wasn't really needed, so after a couple of games, we ditched it. Things are more open at 2, but the playing field's still level and we don't mind scoring a few extra points. One word of warning for higher player counts is income turns can take some time, and if a bunch of them come at once, you might want to have a book handy. Likewise, each player will add roughly the same amount of time to a game, so 5 can be a bit of a marathon, but at 2 or 3, things tend to move at a decent pace. Like all Stonemaier games, there's also a well-constructed automa for solo play. It's controlled by a deck of cards, but we've barely scratched the surface of that, so we can't speak to it too much.
Stonemaier games are known for their quality, and this one is no different. The player boards, civilizations, and city areas are all made of this super fancy glazed cardboard that feels really nice. The cards are all high quality, and Andrew Bosley's artwork is fantastic from top to bottom. The big focal point here, though, are the buildings, which we love. There is a bit of a hefty feel to them that may not work for those that like more delicate and detailed miniatures, but we like the charm of them, especially the income buildings with their cute little doors, and the newer expansion buildings that are all cheeky nods to the other Stonemaier games. There really is something satisfying about filling up your board with these. The one knock might be that the resources can shift on your track, although we have found that if you put the rough edge down, they tend to stick a bit better. Plus, economy is so tight that you rarely have more than a few of anything, and so you generally have a good sense of what you already have.
I'll start right out by saying we like this game. We've played it somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 times so far and show no signs of slowing, but it is not going to be for everyone. It is a Civ game, but it's highly abstracted. Think more along the lines of Seven Wonders or Hadara than anything like Through the Ages or a Sid Meier's game. It can also be really swingy, both due to tapestry cards and the very different civilizations. There are some official balance fixes available for the civilizations, but it's still going to be a factor. That said, we found we have the most fun tracking our plays over time and competing both to win the current game and trying to beat the other's score from the last time they were that same civilization. Who it will work for is people who like figuring out combos and juggling a tight economy system, players that like building their own thing with a little bit of interaction, and anyone that wants a slightly heavier but still very approachable step up into medium weight games. If you like solving your own ever-changing puzzle and are okay with a bit of abstraction, this one may well be a fit for you. And that is it. What do you think of Tapestry? Have you tried the new expansion? And what other abstracted Civ games would you recommend? And please do like and subscribe, and hopefully we will see you all next time for another game.